Welcome everybody to the third installment of Zach's Movie Reviews. Tonight we'll be watching a movie by the title of Parasite, which I've been told is a masterpiece. So for the next 2 hours, I am ready to feel completely inadequate. I've heard a lot about Parasite, but I haven't actually researched into it, so I'm assuming there's going to be some type of themes about a parasite. I've been told Parasite is one of those movies that completely changes your ideology on society, which is concerning because I planned on having a pretty controlled and relaxed evening. I was also told that this movie was nominated for an Oscar, and I think maybe even actually won one. Now, this in itself is interesting because either I'm completely underprepared for this movie or it's fantastic. Before we get into it, let me give my predictions. So, either A, somebody is metaphorically a parasite, B, somebody is literally a parasite, or C, there will be stairs. I've been told this movie is a bit of an explanation on class differences, which is a bit interesting because, again, I don't feel like I'm really one to talk. By the time I finish this movie, I really just want to answer one question. Was this movie overhyped, or am I just one of those people who doesn't understand the movie? I was just informed that this movie is in fact in Korean, so that means I'm basically reading a short novel for the next 2.5 hours. I've read a few manga in my day, and watching something that's not in the English language is not too foreign to me. But I do think it will be a good change of pace from my normal videos. Without further ado, let's get into the movie Parasite, and hopefully Without further ado, let's get into the movie. I hope you enjoy what I have to say at the end, and I hope I do as well. Well, after watching this movie, I have a few hot takes. I don't think this movie is an anti-rich movie. I think it's an anti-comfort movie. I feel like most people think that Parasite is about the rich versus the poor. However, I think it's more about what comfort does for people. I don't think that the Park family is evil. I just think that they're insulated, and they don't have to deal with these consequences. And the Kim family doesn't want to destroy the rich, they just want access to the insulation. The second thought I have is that the movie isn't about equality, it's about performance. I think that everyone in the film is acting. The Kims perform competence, and the Parks perform sophistication. Even the house itself performs status. This movie isn't about money, it's about who can perform in the space that they're obtaining. All of the cruelty of this movie is wrapped in manners. Furthermore, I think this movie is a tragedy disguised as a heist. The first half of this film feels very clever and thought through, but the second half seems more chaotic and evil. I think I like this film because it wasn't more of a how long will they survive in this environment, but it was more of a can they disguise themselves as this certain type of family. Before we get into some examples, my final point about this movie is I don't think the ending is very hopeful, it's more self-delusion. I think a lot of people watch this movie and find the ending to be bittersweet. However, I think it's devastating. I don't think it's really a plan, I think it's more of a coping mechanism. The son isn't really dreaming of upward mobility, he's more thinking of surviving reality. I think there's a few parts of this movie that really speak out, especially with symbolism, and the first example would be the Scholar's Rock opening. I mean, with the camera zooming in, the rock is very heavily looked upon, and it feels mystical for some reason. And when Mr. Wu holds the rock, he says it's metaphorical. This rock itself has more of a story arc than most of the main characters in this movie. The second point of this movie is the peach fuzz scene, which I don't think you could miss even if you were blind. Here's why it's great. I think it's surgical, it's funny, but it's also horrifying. This is the first point of this movie where I started to realize that it's kind of a con movie. I thought it was great, but I also thought it was a bit tongue-in-cheek on how deliberate they are being with this scene. Another point is the scene where the family was sitting there having the bruise, watching the rain hit the yard. I thought that was a bit strange, especially when he said, For one family, rain is ambience. For the other, it's eviction. That line seemed a little too focused. There was a lot of chaos in this movie, and I think it was well done. I really do. It's suspenseful, it's horrific, but it's also beautiful. I think they did a great job at building suspense, but also telling a very good story, which I don't find much movies doing anymore. I'm gonna have to give Parasite a 9 out of 10. There were lots of twists and turns, especially with the man in the basement, but I'm glad they didn't overdo it. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Zach's Movie Reviews. Hopefully we'll be back in the next week, and yeah, I'll see you guys then. So, peace! Yo guys, post-editing Zach here, just finished the video, and I was rewatching it, and I figured out that I had 2 out of my 3 points correct. Point A, somebody was metaphorically a parasite, well, more like a couple people. And point C, there were a few stairs in the movie. I'll take a 66%. Thank you guys for watching.